evening. My name is Diane Gary, and I'm chairperson of Finger Lakes Regional EMS Council. It is July 22nd, 2019, and I welcome you all, and I thank you all for coming. Before we start, shall we do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Diane. Before we get into our roll call, I want to make a note that September 23rd of 2019, we will be in state council. So the next full council meeting, and remember it's a 2-meeting night, will be September 30th, the following Monday. And also, if you sit on REMAC, that meeting has also been moved till October 1st. So, roll call. Jeremy Harris.
Present.
Brian Mace.
Here.
Everett Ferguson.
Here.
Matt Sprung.
Here.
Mike Moss. Nate Miller. Brian Oakey. Terry Phillips.
Yes.
Tyler Harris.
Here.
Bill Little.
Here.
Diane Gary. Lori Lance Taylor. Here. Jackie DeShaw. Here. Lori Crane. Here. Sandy Johnson.
Here.
Ed Wedge.
Here.
Tad Smith.
Here.
And I do not see Fiona. Roll call for now is done. Moving right along into introduction of new members, we will get to that because we've got to vote them in. Did everybody get a chance to
Excuse me.
vote them in? Yes.
Excuse me.
Oh,
We did roll call and I wasn't called, but I'm here.
oh, I'm sorry.
It'll be a problem, Chuck.
Sorry, Kevin.
The invisible man.
And also, Patty Pearson Simon is now here. That is who? And also, we're going to take roll call at the end of the meeting also. So did you all get a chance to look at the minutes? Testing.
Sandy Johnson, Yates County, moved to accept the minutes.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Moving right along into committee reports. Our secretary is not here, but our treasurer is here. Hi, Mia. Is there any questions for Matt? Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Everett Ferguson, I'm Trail County.
Second?
Second.
That was Tad and
Tad Smith, Yates County.
the motion has been approved. Open for discussion.
Everett, I just wanted to give you an answer back on the last month you asked, or the last council meeting, you asked about the miscellaneous revenue. And I went back and looked that up, and that includes any ACLS, ALS, BLS, ITLS, and that's all the conference money that came in that goes under that account. So that revenue was incoming for that. That $15,000.
Okay. Is that when you talk about the,
when we do anything that's ACLS, PALS, BLS, that revenue comes in as a miscellaneous revenue.
okay, after expense?
No, that's just the revenue side of it. The expense side of it is on the other side of it, so
And that is indicated as,
it's an expense.
what's the title?
Clear.
Well, the conference would be under the conference. If it's conference money, it's under the conference as far as,
I see. Thank you for your
okay?
answer.
Any other discussion? All in favor of that motion to accept this report?
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried. Training and Ed, Mr. Little?
Training and Ed report was distributed. Questions?
As there's no questions for Mr. Little, do we have a motion?
Yes, Rollins,
Thank you. Do I have a
Chad
second?
Smith, the second.
All in favor? Executive, I put forth a report for you. You'll notice the changes in the charges for CPR payouts. There was a handout related to that cost. Okay, executive business. And I'm sorry it's not a hot weather night like I thought it would be because of the weekend. So thank you for coming out on a cold, rainy night. Do I have a motion to accept my report?
the Little Lake County, will we accept the executive report?
Do I have a second?
Brian Neeson, second.
All in favor? Aye. Moving right along to public relations.
You want to put that back this out?
Yes. Did you make handouts for this?
Yes.
There is a handout for the letter that we are sending out, asking for new members. As you can see, we're a little bit short on our membership. And this is going to the papers, being mailed out.
No, that goes to the agencies.
The
We're doing something
agencies?
different for the papers.
Okay. So, this is just for your information only. Hopefully, we'll be new members. We have quite a few seats open. REMAC has not met since our last meeting. State EM Council has not met since our last meeting. Legislative review.
Nothing to report, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Program agency coordinator, John.
So current protocol rollouts are in place, and to date, we've conducted 2 so far. Third one is actually tonight down in Dundee. We've distributed a letter that the state also sent out to folks, reminding agencies that it's their responsibility to educate their own people and document who's received the education and then submit it back to the program agency. So encouraging those folks to do that, either by sending your folks to one of our also or also developing your own program and sending the roster of those individuals. You have the letter that the state actually sent out that's on the back of your BLS protocol flyer. So you have the information that the state actually sent out. And we have some decent response from that. The conference for February 2020 is well underway. To date, we have probably better than 2/3, if not 90% of the lectures are established. So we're moving ahead, way ahead of schedule. Still working with the IT folks to get everything else lined up. What we do see the light for the tunnel event. Physician credentialing, which was a REMAC directive, that program has been sent out to all the REMAC doctors, and to date, the response has not been overwhelming, to say the least. Fortunately for us, a large percentage of the doctors that work in our area also all came from the Monroe County area, so they received the LRM's credentialing. But there's still, a significant number of doctors that have not been credentialed in the year system. So trying to get our regional medical director to engage those folks and persuade them to continue to do the credentialing stuff. And then finally, I literally just received this the other email on the measles, the new policy statement, it came out at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So I felt that it distributed to you guys. I have not read it over, so I'm not sure what it all entails. But you guys have the information as well as I do. That's it.
Thank you, Jim. Also, did you note that we had to change our date for the conference back to the 22nd and the 23rd due to a conflict?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this there was a conflicting date we originally had set for February 29th and March 1st, but that ended up being the FASD conference at the Montour Falls Fire Academy, so we were lucky not to get over them. So we moved it back to February 22nd and 23rd.
Thank you, John. Can we have a motion to accept John's report?
Everett Ferguson, Ontario County, I move we accept the program coordinator's report.
Do I have a second?
Lori Crane, Wayne County, I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor? FLCC Director's report.
You have it. A couple of the other things we need to chat about will probably fall under new business.
Any questions for Donna on her report?
You didn't get it? It was printed there somewhere.
Right underneath the reason. That's it. Well, moving right along, all in favor of accepting the report?
Did you get it?
Just the prices.
No. You want to read it? Sure. Okay, so this is my report for July of 2019. Attended training and education committee meetings, attended executive committee meetings, working with the program agency coordinator on 2020 EMS conference. I did conduct preceptor workshops. We offered the CME with Pinsky Law on the 17-year-old EMTs. I attended REMAC in May. I attended the Canandaigua Academy Career Day Fair. Attended the Mercy Flight Central Education Day. I've been coordinating BLS, ACLS, and PALS courses by the truckload because every nurse in any hospital had to be updated by the end of July or lose their job. We completed the RN to paramedic program. We had 100% pass on that. Summer EMT courses are up and running. They'll test in August. I've been working on the specialty course sponsorship. Executed letters to the council members who were dismissed at the last meeting due to attendance issues. Working with the paramedic program director on current paramedic classes. Preparing for the new upcoming paramedic program for 2020 to 21. Applications are out and available. Assisting program agency to distribute updated collaborative statewide BLS protocols. Coordinated protocol workshop during 2019. Working on the end of the quarter council and program agency quarterly reports. And working with the DOH staff and John for council and program agency budgets for 1920.
Thank you. Any other questions for Donna?
Mass for Ontario County motion.
Smith, Yates County, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Mr. Wedge, nominating.
Well, we're going to end up on the plus side this week. It doesn't normally happen, but I have three applications actually for membership, and we do have one resignation because she moved out of the area. So, yeah, go ahead.
You didn't announce it.
Oh, Olivia McKelvey is her married name. She's the one that has moved to understand the Elmira area, And according to our bylaws, you must be a resident of the Ford County area. Sir,
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept her removal from the council.
is there a second?
Sandy Johnson, Yates County, I second the motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Let's go on and look at the new members. First member we're submitting for council membership is Darrell Bailey from Wayne County. He says that he's got over 30 years of experience, have enjoyed it. He's soon going to retire, so would like to get more involved in other aspects of EMS. See, Diane, I think you've spoken with him.
Yes,
So he understands what his commitment is. So I would like to put him in seconded motion for attendance in our membership in our council. We're going to put him in Wayne County in a term that expires 2021.
Do you want the 21 or do you want the 19 and you get revoted back in September?
Well, which do you folks think is appropriate? I chose 21 just to give him some experience.
No, I just was asking.
Offering him for membership in the following year also has some legitimacy. So whatever you folks want to do, that's what we will.
I move that we accept that application with an expiration of 21. Doesn't make any sense for him to be a candidate for oath. Need a second.
What have we done before, though? So if you're not just doing a blanket thing, what have we done before?
just slide them in and
Just for that one term and then renew?
whenever that's expires.
So why is it different this time?
Because there's two
Iris-
seats, one expires.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we can discuss further, I think we have to second that motion.
Eddie Kirsten Simon, I second that. Wayne County.
Okay, now we can resume discussion.
Discussion.
Mr. Ferguson.
Irrespective of whatever we appoint as an expiration date, annually at the September meeting, they have to be reaffirmed in that position anyway. So whether you put him in the 21, 19, or the 22 expiration for membership, they have to be brought up and voted on at the annual meeting.
That is true.
So it's immaterial.
Well, my question is what has been done in the past? With
Just
people-
that, they're voted on
Okay.
annually.
So it's done a year, so instead of giving him 2 years, why don't you just give him 1 year and then vote again?
That's not the way the bylaws read.
Oh.
Whether it's 1 or 2, they're voted on in September as new members.
Madam Chairman, in light of that, may I withdraw my motion? I motion to put him in position. Amend my motion. There we go, that's much easier. Amend it for an expiration of September of 19, or whatever the date is.
Are we doing 19?
Do we have a second?
Eddie Kirsten Simon, I second that. Wayne County.
I'm sorry, one more.
All in favor of Mr. Bailey's membership approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll read the bylaws.
Okay. Next, we have the gentleman, Richard Mumford. He's from Seneca County. He's kind of lonely because he's the only son. Oh, is this his gentleman?
That's in a minute. We'll call you back.
Talk to us?
Yeah.
But he has to leave one.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't voted yet. If he want to ask you
So
that.
now I can say who's there.
We can't have you to do. We can't have you to take your money.
Sir, would you go out into the hallway, please, and we will continue.
Does he serve in a squad?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
He works for Finger Lakes Ambulance. and
Pardon me?
He works for Finger Lakes Ambulance and he serves on Border City Rescue.
Thank you.
All righty, so we are going to put him, I have lost it here already. In Seneca County, because we have a lot of open positions there, and for the term expiring, well, let's do this one 19. I'll change what I had.
No,
That's
20.
the only.
Oh, excuse me, I can't do that. Then 22,
20.
20. Who cares?
18, right, 18.
Mr. Ferguson,
I second that motion that was made by the nominating committee for the membership of Richard Mumford.
well, it came as a seconded motion. So. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Our third. Do you want to leave the room? And send Mr. Mumford back in?
Nobody's going to be able to come here.
Maybe. I'm gonna leave you there.
Well, if somebody comes to get you, you got voted down.
Okay, with our current attendance policy, it happened to catch up with Mr. Haig last meeting, and he was actually in Albany representing us at the State EMS Council for that absence. What the other absences were, I believe, had to do with teaching, but I'm not sure of all of that. What I would propose is that we reinstate him in his old membership in the county of Wayne with the expiration term that he had of 21.
I would second that motion. Tad Smith, Yates County.
Well, it comes as a seconded motion, so. Call the question.
Call a motion.
Okay. All in favor of reinstating Mr. Haig, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now we can get Jason to put him back to work.
Be hell if our state representative wasn't a member of the council.
The other part that you guys didn't do is do any discussion. One, he was at the meeting for the state for us. The other 3 times he was gone, he was doing lectures someplace else. And the biggest reason he did not stay on the committee was because, darn, he forgot to sign in like everybody else has to. So Donna had to go back through everything, including the video, to see that he showed up late. You guys ain't got the energy to sign in. What are you doing here? I believe he should be here, but he also should be held responsible for his butt to sign in. That's why, if you heard Diane the first part tonight, there's going to be roll call at the end. It's specifically for him, not for everybody else, just because of what he did.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
I have nothing else.
Thank you, Mr. West. That is it for our committee reports. Coming into unfinished business.
I'll leave him out there.
Unfinished business, I don't think we really have anything. Moving right along into new business, we have, well, Mr. Ferguson will tell us about it.
We had to go get that, so, yeah, the other thing, the one sitting on the phone.
He went to retrieve our reinstated member.
I'm sorry, I had to get that vagrant from the hallway.
If he couldn't be here, he wanted to Easter.
In your email packet, there's a memo from the executive committee about the responsibilities in our bylaws that require us, under Article 7, Section 1D, that we check the population of the region. And it's broken down then by the numbers and percentages per county. Ontario, Yates, Seneca, and Wayne. If you look at the populations, which I sent you, and you look at the percentages, it changes our distribution of membership as follows. At large, we don't propose any change. 3 seats there. Understand those are primarily for those people who might not have a direct interest in EMS. By that I mean they may not have ever had experience or been involved. Ontario County, who currently has 9 positions for membership, would go to 12 based on the population increase. Yates County, which currently has 4, would go to 3. Seneca County, which has 5, would go to 3. Wayne County, which has 9, would remain at 9. That leaves a total of 30 seats, both present and proposed. Understand, it doesn't make any difference what seat you hold in which county. You represent the region. So if Ed Wedge lives in Yates County and the vacancy is in Wayne County, Ed Wedge could be in a membership position in Wayne County. Any questions? Andy?
I've been asked if there's any difference between having an at-large seat and a seat in a county.
No, not for the at-large seat was only developed to provide a place for people who don't have EMS experience. But if you sit in an at-large seat, it doesn't mean that you couldn't have. It doesn't mean that you have any less responsibility.
Or any less privilege, you still,
Or any less
your vote still counts the
or
same.
any less work requirements for being on a committee.
So Kevin Becker from wherever you want me to be, because I'm one of those at-large spots. So how did I get there then? Because I had experience, and so was it just a...
At that time, when you came aboard, we had an inundation of a lot of proposed members. Actually, you were on a waiting list.
Okay,
So you got the first vacant position.
gotcha. Okay.
So that's where it was.
So now that we have all those vacant positions, do I then move into a county or just stay where I'm at? And I mean, it doesn't make any difference, honestly, but...
Well, that would be a proposal, once this is passed and we realign it, the nominating committee and bylaws committee and chairperson will get together and realign.
I mean, I've been referred to as large all my life, so I might still stay there, but if it makes no difference, but...
You're all about the region.
Yeah, so if it makes no difference, I don't necessarily want to move. I was just wondering how I got there, if it was... So that explains it.
Well, in one of the, as I said, one of the very unusual times, we had an influx of proposed memberships.
That's
I live in Yates, but I was listed in Seneca for 6 or 7 years until there was an opening in Yates.
I live in Ontario, work in Yates, and I'm a Seneca County rep, so.
You get around.
Yeah.
We moved you.
Oh, you did? Must have been the last meeting I wasn't in.
You missed that.
So remember, it doesn't matter what seat you take as long as you're on it. That's all that matters. You all have the same privileges.
Responsibilities.
Question, Lori Crane, Wayne County. Who came up with the new numbers, or how did we come up with the new number as far as how many people were?
I did. I sat down and went through the census, the last census, which was 2000, what I tell you it was, ever?
10.
10. And those were the numbers that are on the website per county. And that's how I came up with it, is the
So
total.
these numbers haven't been changed since 2010?
I don't think we've changed them at all. This is-
Actually,
No.
if you want the numbers, they're in the memo that was sent to you. 42% of the region is in Ontario County, 9.5% is in Yates, 13.25% is in Seneca, almost 35% is in Wayne.
Right, I read that, but what I
think
didn't
it's
know
no.
was where you were getting the numbers from. If it was from the 2010 census or,
Sounds forever good.
because that's the last census that was done. There's supposed to be one in 2020, but
Well,
it's not looking that.
the
that's gonna happen.
politicians are arguing over the upcoming census.
Yes,
Only if
And
you're a
if
citizen.
great changes take place, once it's done, it doesn't mean we can't realign the positions at that time.
right.
But our responsibility is to review it periodically and keep us up to date.
Gotcha.
Is there any more discussion on this? Lloyd?
Lori Stewart, Wayne County. What was the percentage for Ontario County versus Wayne County again? Ever?
Ontario County was 42.4.
42. Okay, you had said 22, so I didn't understand the difference in the numbers there. Okay, that explains it.
Any other discussion? Now I need a motion, if you so wish, to change the seat.
I would like to make a motion, Pat Smith, Yates County, to accept the memo from the executive committee for the assignment of council seats.
We have a motion on the floor to accept the memo, changing the seat distribution as per the population review per county within the region from the executive committee. We have a motion made and seconded. Is there any more discussion on this memo? And remind yourself, it doesn't really change anything. With that being said, all in favor? All opposed? It is carried. Is there any other new business?
Yes. I distributed out to all of you the new American, or the proposed American Heart changes, I should say. We went through, we are switching to e-cards. Matt, we do have a few hand cards, I call them, to get out, but these are the proposals. We periodically go through them and do our updates or whatever. Major changes to these are, we raised the BLS cards to $10. They've been $5 for years. But when we start looking at the cost of doing them and processing and the paperwork, because it still has to come in, we still have to bill it out, that type of thing. Heart Saver cards went to $20 a while ago when the American Heart raised theirs. We did adjust the ACLS and PALS original refresher costs up a little bit. And then the ITLS, we went up a little bit with that. And then the other thing that is the new thing I proposed in here is any AHA replacement cards charge will be double the original cost of the card. You cannot believe the number of nurses who get a card and leave it with their current employer and then decide to leave and don't go pick up their card. So then they come here and say, I need a new card for my new employer because their old employer won't give them their other card back.
That won't happen once you go to electronic.
I understand that, but we still have a bunch of people that are going to come to me and say, I need a card, and if it's an actual hard card, and I've got to reprint it, then there'll be a cost. There still is a cost to it every time they come back.
Actually, do the employers require the actual card?
Some of them
Or do
do.
you take the card
Some
and
of
have them copy it there at their facility? I understand that you can't copy it, but
The new electronic cards give you the option of forwarding the card.
yes.
if I work for Geneva General Hospital, I can go online to AHA, My Cards, and say forward to Finger Lakes Health, and they get a copy of the card from the American Heart Association.
But
If
But
Donna has to do it,
if you
she should
need
get
it
paid
at
for
a
it.
later time, if you change
Anytime
employers,
during
can
the
you go back
period
and-
that the card is current, you can go to My Cards and print a copy of your card. So if a year from now, after taking the course, I can go to My Cards and print out a copy of that card. If you're smart enough to hang on to your card number.
or your email. Because the biggest thing we're going to run into is they have to remember what email they've sent it to. And as much as we have encouraged them, set up your own Gmail or whatever, because do not send it to your hospital email address, because once you leave there, they delete that email.
And a lot of the hospitals get something, Geneva General was an example. I'd send cards to Geneva General and their software looked at it and it said AHA was the starting line, American Heart Association, and it automatically dumped it. So the nurses would take a class and I'd get a call from, ain't got no goddamn card. So I learned real quick you have to have their home email address.
But we're still going to have some, like we always do, that they lose their card from a year ago and come back and say, I need that card, I need a new card. That won't be an email, that won't be an e-card because
Well, even if it's an e-card and they don't remember when the class was and where they took it and all that, and Donna has to do the work, she has to charge for it. That's the only reason.
Any other discussion?
for that.
Any other new business?
Yes, I do, but we have to do this first.
We need a motion to accept this change of price through the American Heart.
Sandy Johnson, Yates County, so moved.
Tad Smith Yates, second.
All in favor? Opposed? It is carried.
All right, I just want to I got three things actually more to go over, but I just want to let you know where the classes are going to be for the fall. We've been working on those. We will have an original, refresher, and a core offered here on Mondays and Thursdays. It will start in September and test in December. Put a December class test date here for the students who want to go into the January paramedic program, because they have to have a valid notification that they've passed. And in the past, we've always waited until that January test date and started class the Monday after. And Jake would like to back that up a couple weeks to give us some more practice time. And Tyler will agree to that because that gets a little tight in that semester. So to start it 2 weeks earlier means that students have to have tested in December and have their paperwork that they've passed on site. That will be here. There's going to be one in Ontario on the same schedule with occasional Saturdays. And then there will be one in Honeoye, and that probably will be on a similar schedule. Then we're going to do a EMT refresher with a core. At this point in time, it is scheduled for Shortsville. And we're just trying to figure out the night that they're available, either Tuesday or Wednesday. We have an instructor for that. We also are looking at offering a weekend session again for the basic core. Tyler's done that, Jim Carver's done that, and quite honestly, we're going to wait until after the state council, because if they approve the new core schedule, that will be less hours, and we can put a different schedule time frame together for that. So that'll be coming a little later. And then we are going to be offering an AEMT, and when we need to chat about the issues with that. But I just want to let you know where the courses are going to begin with, and then we'll move on to the AEMT charges. And we will be doing a critical care core, because critical care refreshers are done as of August. There's no more testing for critical care core. If you're not in the CME program and your card expires, you're out of luck. Does anybody want to make a motion for the courses?
Jason Haig, Wayne County, make a motion for the courses as submitted.
favor? I'm sorry, Tyler, did you want to say something?
I was just going to ask if we're doing construction courses.
I will be, I haven't got it scheduled yet.
All in favor again, I'm sorry.
Usually we do a CLI in the fall. Who was the second? Who said me?
Okay, so one more time, all in favor of this motion?
Aye.
Accept the courses? Opposed? It is carried. Moving right along into AEMT.
I brought forward to the executive and to the training and ed. Training and ed and steering have looked at this 2 months or 3 months now so far. So, with the cost of the class and the number of hours that goes into it in that, with the state reimbursement that we get, the state reimbursement is not enough to cover the cost of the program without some additional funding. So if you look at the policy statement from the state on the course funding, it says for the advanced classes, if I'm correct, Ross, that we can charge a lab fee or additional charge for advanced courses. I know they do for the paramedic, and we're allowed to for the AEMT.
Yep.
So I checked with Syracuse, who does the AMT class. I checked with Southern Tier, who does the AMT class. And what they literally do is they figure their cost is $1,000 per person. They require their payment up front for the whole shot. And then they will assist the agencies or whatever in getting their money back through helping them voucher. So if we take, right now, the state reimbursement for us for the state is $530. If we took that, we would still have to voucher the student approximately $470 up front to make the $1,000. Or the other option is to voucher up front the whole $1,000 and assist them at the end of the class coming through. That would cover anyone who started that dropped, didn't pass the written, didn't pass the practical, anything along that line. So this has been hashed out, training it out, and it went to executive in the last meeting, and executive approved to bring it forward that we really need to consider charging for the AEMT section. And again, I need to get that out quicker than later, because if we're slated to schedule a class in September, people are going to want to know.
So we're looking at a lab fee of $470 to be paid upfront before the class starts. And I guess I want to ask all you people if you're having doubts about this. If you took a college course, would you pay for it before you started? Is this not the same thing? That's what.
Well, it was my understanding, I'm not sure if we decided on training that or not, but we were going to have them voucher the entire amount, not just the lab fee.
To pay up front, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, we talked about that, which way we wanted to go.
Less paperwork, less confusing.
I agree.
And if the person drops out or doesn't pass, we're not out the money.
Chase them down later.
Right, we're not going to have to chase them down to get the money, whatever.
That's your guys' choice. I'm just bringing the proposal
Right.
forward.
I didn't know if we had made a decision in training and ed how we were going to do this. I thought we had decided to have the entire amount up front and then assist them in vouchering it at the end of the class.
You need a motion? I would make a motion that we amend the course costs for the AEMT, the $1,000 fee up front, with assistance provided to the student to voucher New York State for their part once they complete all the requirements.
It's assistance to the agency, because the agency is the only
To
one
the
that can
agency.
collect that. Correct? Agency is the only one that can.
Agency.
And there's no refunds. If they're in class, they're in class.
Wait a second. If they finish the whole course.
No. My whole thing was if they come and say, oh, I have to drop out because I broke my leg or whatever, there's still no refund. Because it's
But
still
the
been part of it.
agency is going to be able to get reimbursement if they complete the course and pass.
If they become certified.
We really need you to finish your motion so we can talk about it.
Mr. Madam Chairman, I'd like to second, Mr. Madden, I'd like to second that
He's
motion
unilateral.
maybe. Edward Ferguson, Ontario County. I'll second Dad's motion.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Oh, now we can discuss.
Okay, so
So we can
That-
assist the agency for those that become certified at the end.
right, but we assist them in getting back, what is it, $530?
The state reimbursement. I'm just gonna leave it at state reimbursement, because if by any chance, by the grace of God, and the heavens fall out and somebody donates the state a lot of money, that value could change.
The Bills won the Super Bowl.
But I don't want it, I don't want it.
couple of old lottery tickets.
I understand, but you never know. They could also take that money away too, so.
So could you read back that motion?
That we will voucher and charge $1,000 per student up front, non-refundable, once class starts, for an AEMT, and we will assist the agencies at the end to get their money back from Department of Health pending certification of the student.
Do we need to word that in such a way that payment must be received by second class?
That can be in your contract
That
with the
could be in the
student.
contract.
That can be, okay.
Yes.
Is this just for advanced?
For AEMT,
And,
original,
okay.
AEMT original, because we only have 4 right now AEMTs in the region. I do want to go on and say to this, I want to be totally honest with all of you on this. I'm not sure this class will go with this happening. That being said, Matt and everybody else has listened to me that goes to REMAC, how I've tried to get the docs to buy into it, and they will kind of buy into it. I've tried to get agencies to buy into it as their second go-round of people. Sandy, I'll pick on Naples. When they were ALS, this would have been an ideal backup for the paramedic that they're paying for the second, third, fourth call to the mountain. It would be good for Dundee, although they've stepped down from ILS now to basic because they didn't have anybody. But, I mean, even Finger Lakes, if you put an AEMT with a paramedic person, there's really, you still have an extra set of hands somewhere along the line. But we've not had a huge buy-in in this region. Ross can tell you up in North Country, these go like hotcakes up there. There's nothing for them to have 3 and 4 classes running a month apart with a dozen or 15 people in them. We can't buy people to come to the freaking thing. Well, here's the thing, and Jeremy just struck on it. If they want to pay them, they'll come to it. The other issue is, it isn't even if they pay to them. I've had folks want to take it and say to their employer, are you going to give me a raise if I do this? And their answer is no. So their thing is, why the hell should I take it?
We have the question called. All in favor of supporting this motion to have a payment up front for the AEMT course, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Cindy Johnson, Yates County. Do you anticipate this way of funding will be the way we will handle all classes in the future?
Well, now that
Do
you
you
talk about
suspect?
that.
You just opened Pandora's box.
We have again talked about this as training and executive. And again, here's the other thing you have to keep in mind, and I'm going to go over this. The other thing we have to keep in mind is whatever changes we are making, short of the AEMT, because that starts in September. Whatever changes we're going to have to make, we're going to have to think about what the date would be, okay? Because some agencies, if they are municipalities or anything like that, they have not budgeted for that yet. So if we were going to change our charge rate or whatever we're going to do, what do you want to call it, then we have to think a little bit in the future to make sure that we cover as many bases as we can cover to let it be known, all right? I have to be honest with you and say, I do anticipate if we go that way, that enrollment will drop for a while. I don't have a crystal ball to tell you how long. But I know when we went to the new curriculum 9 years ago, we had a big drop in enrollment because they were not going to set a class that long. You couldn't make me take a class that long and everything else. And it was like, okay, fine. Now add what you want, Ross.
More and more sponsors across the state are charging up front for every course they teach, simply because our funding has not increased since dirt was invented. And there's nothing in the foreseeable future that's going to change that. What may change that is the groundswell of people that now have to pay up front to get these courses. You know, they maybe need to call up Uncle Daddy Legislator and say, hey, you know, why are these people not getting the money that it takes to provide these courses? I don't know. You know.
I don't know either. But the other thing is with the new, when John and I have been dealing with the state on the new budgets on allocating monies across the board in that, they are saying they understand in the past we have not allocated any of the medical director's salaries to the classes because he's considered that as all part. So we'll have some of that will have to come out of program agency or councils and be charged to the courses against the sponsorship, as with probably some of the insurance should have as well. So with that being said, I went through an executive last time and said, that being I just presented the fall of 16, fall of 17, spring of 18, and summer of 18. And I do it over the course of the year. I don't take semester by semester because some semesters will lose, some will make, and stuff like that. We cleared on expenses or whatever we had or taken from the state reimbursement and what we got paid in tuition from outsiders, about $8,000. But $8,000 is not going to sustain you a long time if you do it the way you're doing it and students are dropping out. Agencies, we used to when we first started out, you could have the agencies sign a form saying that if you dropped, Naples would pay for you. A lot of agencies bought into that from the very beginning, and then you see more and more and more coming, starting it, dropping out, and these agencies are having to come up with this money. And I understand $700, $775, you know, they come back and they say to me, well, that's one whole chicken barbecue that we threw out the window, and I can sympathize with you. Trust me, I can. But we still have to be able to pay the instructors. This is not the same as the state fire class where the state pays for that, whether the student drops or not. So this is a responsibility. I mean, instructors don't want to do it for free. And I look at Matt from Canandaigua who tells me, you know, he budgets for, 6, 8, 10 students every year that you're going to have to pay for. That's just and I understand it's a fact of doing business, but when you have to start looking at that you've got to put $5,000 away every year just in case you have people that don't finish, a lot of these agencies can't afford it. And some agencies have gone to saying the old way that they did when I took intermediate critical care way back with the Bible, with the tablet, was we had to pay. I paid so much for my ILS class and I paid so much for my critical care class. John, you did the same thing. Because there was no state reimbursement for that. So, but I mean, that was going to be a discussion that we have tonight, is you really have to start thinking about what your course of action is. And as Ross is right, I've checked with a lot of agencies, or a lot of sponsors are going that way. It's just easier. Cayuga County has done that for years. They pay up front, they'll help them do their voucher, and that's it. Because she said, we can't afford to have 15 people in class and 8 of them not finish. They don't have the college to help them out or anything like that. If they don't make payroll, they don't make payroll. So the other issue is, and I know 3/4 of you are already in this, is what has hindered us as a core sponsor, not as a core sponsor, keeping the council per se 30 members out of that, is the CME program, where so many of the agencies have now gone to the online and doing it in-house, and it has taken a lot of money away from the sponsorships. That being said, I'm on my little soapbox about that, so.
Moving right along. we have any other business?
Do they want to do anything with this, talk about this? Are we voting on it? Are we bringing it next to the meeting, or? We passed the AEMT, but I know Sandy asked if we're going to go this way for all classes, and I don't think that was a really
I think we should open to training and have a discussion.
Okay, I'm just asking so that we don't miss this.
Just one thing I would like to say about that is so I taught, when I first started teaching, I taught for a year and I taught for MCC. And while I was teaching, while I was adjunct at the MCC, they switched from the reimbursement model to the college tuition model. And ironically, believe it or not, it did not affect enrollment at all. And it may just be the demographic up there, because most of the people I taught up there, I'm like, so what are you going to do with your EMS career? I'm going to be a doctor. This is just a step. Okay. But still, I mean, it might be a different demographic, but we didn't see it. And then they would turn around and help the agencies be reimbursed for it. But they paid their college credit tuition at that rate. So it was 6 college credits. They paid for 6 college credits, and that's how they did it.
So is every class going to be basically a college class? That
They are
could
now.
actually go for
They are
financial aid, correct? If they were like a full-time student or something.
The difficulty, there is certain difficulty with that. I tell the student if they're coming in, they need financial aid. I say you need to go up to them and you have to matriculate into an actual degree program. They can matriculate into the health studies, they can matriculate into the paramedic. The liberal arts is a little more stricter now with the Department of Education. They don't just give a general, you can take whatever class you want, basket weaving, they call it liberal arts. Department of Ed has clamped down on that. So, but I mean, there's a couple of venues that they can go into and matriculate. They have to apply to the college in order to get their financial aid. And if this is the only class they're looking at taking, then it's got to be this program has to be offered in that degree program, and it is in the health studies and it is in the paramedic. That's like students that are coming in the fall are taking their basic EMT, their AMP, and stuff like that to go in the paramedic program in January. So they would have to matriculate in order to be eligible for financial aid. That's the one downfall for some of them, yes.
Can you take just one course?
Yes.
And still get financial aid?
Yes, depending on...
Well, it's based on credits.
It's based on credits.
6 would make you a
half-time.
student.
Full-time student is 12 credit hours. So half-time is 6. They aren't eligible for TAP, which is for tuition only. That is only for full-time students, but they may or may not be eligible for Pell or a student loan. Yeah.
Mass Broken considered coming, just to move things along, and I do think that's where we're headed, where people do need to pay for these courses up front. My whole suggestion is set up training is because I think we need to have the solid numbers that make a motion. The numbers already in place of what we need to have as full council.
I would second Mr. Sproul's motion.
That was emotion.
Wasn't that just a discussion?
That was just for setting the training, I think just come back to numbers.
You want that as a motion?
Sure. Is this one like
And I'd like to second Mr. Chairman. Madam Chair.
Yes, Mrs. Ferguson.
Ross, just as a side thing, do any of the agencies or that charge more than the state reimbursement for basics?
Not,
I was thinking
I can't say for sure because I don't know for sure. There may well be. My guess is you might find that south of here, south and east of here. Very south and east of here.
Westchester County.
Okay.
Well, FCC's charging college tuition for 6 hours. It's going to be well above what the state reimbursement.
Well, I know though, when that came out, they did have a decline, and the reason that and then they all went to Monroe Ambulance and took their classes. But I do know that did happen as far as that part goes, and what happened with that, and we've been lucky because the college has not pressed that. That happened when there was the new national standards and there were more labs and everything else like that, so there was more cost per student. so they went to the tuition of the $1,100 or whatever.
NCCC does all of their EMS classes across the board. They charge a $100 lab fee and take the state reimbursement for it. But I don't know if that's changing. They're gonna see, they're in the non-credit side of the house over there.
Correct,
too,
so that makes a difference.
yeah, big difference.
So we have a motion on the floor, because there's no more discussion. Sending this back to training and ed for them to do their homework. All in favor? Opposed? It is carried. Do we have any other business?
No, you have a bad voice.
Yes, I have.
I have just.
Oh, I do. Go ahead.
This is July. Our next meeting is September. There will be 2 meetings. One of those will be the annual meeting where we elect new officers. So you will be expecting an email that gives you an opportunity to serve in the position that you best are suited for.
And following up on Mr. Wedge, please note that because of state council, we had to change that meeting to Monday, September 30th. So remind yourself, September 30th. October 1st, the following day is REMAC, so that has also been moved. Donna, back to you.
Correspondence?
No, one new thing. We have to approve the application of renewal for Bureau of EMS course sponsorship for Yates County. That comes before us.
Ed Smith, Yates County, I would like to make a motion if we approve that application.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Is it a roll call?
No.
No, it's not statutory. It's a recommendation.
And then the 2 last things, one in case everyone did not know, because not everyone is seniored. I have, everyone should know that Mike Healy, who was a member of this council for many years, passed away on May 27th of 2019. His obituaries were in the paper and that, but I just wanted to acknowledge that here at the meeting, that he was a council member for us and a past president or chair of this committee. And last but not least, the only thing I have for you, if you need reading material, and you go online, you can now find the EMS agenda for 2050.
We'll have to talk about a dream sheet.
I'll be retired.
Moving right along, we have some bad people naughties. The first one is for a Jonah Yoon, Y-O-O-N. He's from Plainview, New York, 11803, born in 1988, EMT number 366409. He was suspended for 1 year effective 5/31/19, and it was stayed, placed on probation for 3 years effective 5/31/19, and assessed a civil penalty of $2,000, of which $1,000 is stayed. For our second person, Usilla Bassmore from South Ozone Park, New York, 11420, born in 1981, EMT number 353795, suspended for 1 year effective 5/31/19. His suspension is stayed, placed on probation for 3 years effective 5/31/19, and assessed a civil penalty of $2,000, of which $1,000 is stayed. That has to be read in. And before we close, I would like to have a roll call.
Sure.
Done again, please. And remind yourselves, please sign in.
Jeremy Harris.
Present.
Brian Mace.
Here.
Everett Ferguson.
Here.
Matt Spruill.
Here.
Mike Moss is not. Nate Miller's not. Brian O'Kay's not. Terry Phillips.
Yep.
Tyler Harris.
Here.
Fiona.
Here.
Rich Mumford is new. Kevin Becker.
Here.
Bill Little.
Here.
Diane Gary. Gloria Lance Taylor. Jackie DeShaw.
Here.
Jason Haig is back in. Lori Crane.
Here.
Patty Pearson. Sandy Johnson.
Here.
Ed Wedge.
Here.
Ted Smith.
Here.
Ross Astro.
Yep. I'm not officially on here, but.
Go for it.
Ross, maybe if you missed a couple meetings, they'd kick you out.
I can only hope, right?
Before we close, do you have anything to say?
No news is good news at this point. Actually, well, you guys have the protocol rollouts covered, so.
Yes, we're on our third one, 3 more to go. Also, your boss is going to be our keynote at our conference.
Very nice.
Is there anything else for Ross? Is there anything else for this committee? With that being said,
I'll move Ed Wedge, Yates County.
Second, Edward Ferguson, Ontario County.
all in favor? Aye. Thank you for coming.